Hello everyone, Tech1421 here with another Pokemon TCG online gameplay commentary. Once again, I'm bringing everyone some kind of unique little deck, and I like to play unique, fun little decks. I also like to play, the competitive decks and all that, and I will showcase those on my channel from time to time, and I'll kind of explain more detail about those and how they affect the competitive format and all that. But I also like to play these unique little decks, these rogue decks, if you will, and try to get them to work and function properly and try to win with them and kind of showcase some fun little games. So that's what I'm doing here. This deck is all about Noivern. Noivern is a fun little card. As soon as I saw Noivern, I fell in love with it and wanted to build a deck around it. I play a 4-3 line of Noivern in this deck, and the deck is based around Noivern completely. So let's talk about Noivern to begin things off, just so you can kind of get an idea of what it does. And the attack is Boomburst for 3 energy. Such a cool name. Boomburst is a really cool attack in the Pokemon battling, competitive field, the video game side of things. Boomburst is a really fun attack for particular Pokemon, such as Noivern. Noivern's one of the ones that can use the Boomburst attack, as well as like Loudred and things like that. So yeah, Boomburst, cool move, cool name, cool everything. What it does for 3 energy, now it kind of stinks. You need a Psychic energy and a Dark energy, as well as a colorless. So you basically need 3 turns to attach, and that's where my Milotic comes into play. I play a 2-2 Milotic line. You see 2 of them in my hand now. We'll get to Milotic later. Let's continue to talk about the attack. So the attack on Noivern for those 3 energy, the Psychic, the Dark, and the colorless, is going to be doing 30 damage to all of my opponent's Pokemon. So the more Pokemon they have in play, the more damage is being put on the field, which is fantastic. So that is where the Dusknoir comes into play. The more energy that's on the field, the more Pokemon that's on the field, the more damage is out there, so we can spread that damage around and try to get knockouts with Dusknoir. So we also have to make sure that we're playing Megaphone, because starting the Megaphone. Because if my opponent is playing a Garbodor to shut off abilities, then we're kind of screwed, because our deck relies heavily on abilities. Every card in the deck, the final stages, have an ability. Noivern also has an ability called Echolocation. Now, what Echolocation does is when my opponent declares an attack, I flip a coin. If I get heads, I take no damage. So that's really awesome. Essentially, I have 50% chance of not taking any damage at all, so that's really cool. Now I finally get my Noivern into play. It took 3 turns to power up, which is normally the case, but if I don't have those 3 turns to power up and I want to get him out in a hurry, that's where my Milotic comes into play. My Milotic has an ability called Energy Grace, which allows you to knock out my Milotic, which means my opponent would take a prize, but the effects from that really benefit me as well. I get to take 3 energy from my discard pile, assuming that 3 are there, and attach them to any Pokemon I like. Noivern needs 3 energy. A lot of the Pokemon in my deck actually need 3 energy. If I want to attack with Sigilyph, or I want to attack with Dusknoir, who needs 4, then it really helps out having the 2-2 Milotic line in the deck. You have to be really careful about knocking out Milotic, because you don't want to give your opponent too many prizes from just for really doing nothing. So you have to be careful there. Feebas also doesn't have that much HP, so you can get sniped really easily, which is why we have a Mr. Mime in the deck as well. You see the Sigilyph there. I don't think I mentioned him. Sigilyph just gives us a chance to stall for a certain amount of turns. Also helps with Mewtwo a lot, which you'll see in a second, because he has an attack for 3 energy, and if you use a Boomburst before you use Sigilith's attack, it actually knocks him out. So that's really cool, and that's what we're going to do here. So I flip tails on my Echolocation, which stinks. I do get knocked out. I would have had an easier time with this game if I didn't get knocked out, but I'm just going to attach energy onto my Noibat, evolve into a Noivern. I'm going to need 2 more turns to attach to get those knockout. But I do draw the Life Dew, which I was hoping for, This makes sure that when I use Energy Grace, that my opponent doesn't take a prize. I'm checking my discard to make sure that there's energy there, and of course there are, because my Noivern just got knocked out with 3 energy on him. And I also Ultra Balled earlier in the game, discarding some Psychic energies. I play 6 Psychic and 5 Dark, so only 11 energy in the deck. And there's not really a way to return those except for, of course, my low tick. So we're going to go ahead and get 3 Psychic energies, possibly, 2 Psychics and a Dark, doesn't really matter, as long as we have that 1 Psychic. And I'm going to go ahead and use that Psychic attack, I think it's called Psychic, and that gets a perfect knockout onto Mewtwo. It does 140 damage, including all the weakness and stuff, so it gets a perfect knockout. We even out the prize trade, but my opponent does have the Gallade, so he's going to kill my Milotic. There goes all the energy off the field besides the 1 on Noivern. So I got to think here, what am I going to do? And I think the best option is just to kind of stall for a few turns. So I'm going to evolve into Dusknoir, and then I'm just going to use the Megaphone, switch into my Noibat, which is unfortunately probably going to die, to the Gallade next turn, but there's not really much more of an option that I have. I'm going to move the damage around, and I was debating what to do in this certain situation. I could move around the damage. Gallade has 140 HP, so I can't actually get the knockout. There's 120 damage on the field currently, so I can knock out the Mew perfectly with 120 damage, but the Gallade's the biggest threat right now. So I was debating whether to put the damage onto Gallade and continue to spread it around and stuff like that, and hopefully draw Psychic Energy next turn. I do have the Skyland in hand, so I can get the Professor Letter if I don't manage to draw the Psychic Energy. But I decided in the end to kill the Mew EX, and from there I can Boomburst, once or twice, and try to get the victory by knocking out like another EX. Maybe he'll put down like another Ralts on accident or something. You never know. So maybe a misplay on my part, and that also takes off 30 more damage from the field next time I Boomburst. So you could argue that I didn't play that the right way. But my opponent does get a Lucario from their deck, so they might put that down, which means there's even more damage on the field, which is nice. So I guess it kind of works out in the end. You see a Pokemon Catcher coming out. There's a Tails, though, which is great. So I dodge a bullet there. I'm not really sure. They probably may have gone for the Feebas, but I think that in that situation, they probably just should have knocked out the Noibat, which is probably the right thing to do. Now, I don't draw the Psychic Energy. I think there's 2 energy left in my deck. So I'm going to go ahead and Skyla. I think the Colress for 6 is a little too risky at this point in the game. I need to make sure that I get those energy. I don't want to use Energy Grace because that would be bad. Put my opponent at 1 prize. And I already used Life Dew early on in the game, so that kind of stinks. So I'm going to attach the Psychic Energy, and then I'm going to Boom Burst for a total of 120, 30 on each. So there's 120 damage on the field currently, which is fantastic. That means that if my Noivern doesn't get knocked out, which means he would need 1 more energy on the field. Gallade has that attack where it does 20 times the amount of energy right on the field for my opponent. So that's 80 damage. I do get Tails again, which stinks because that means that I am going to be knocked out next turn if I don't hit heads. So I need to make sure that I hit that heads next turn. I can't really control that, but it is what it is. So I'm going to Sacred Ash, put a lot of different things back into my deck, and I'm going to choose to get all the Noibats and the Noiverns as well as Sigilyph. The biggest one there was Sigilyph, just in case I run into problems. I didn't need the Feebas or the Duskull because there's no way of really evolving those guys. There's no point in having another Milotic on the field. So yeah. I do get the Sigilyph into play with the Ultra Ball, and now I'm going to move all the damage around with Sinister Hand. I play a 2-1 line of Dusknoir, I don't know if I mentioned that, as well as a 2-2 line of Feebas, Milotic, and then I play 1 Mr. Mime, 1 Sigilyph, a 4-3 line of Noivern, and I think that's all the Pokemon in the deck. So good amount of Pokemon in the deck. Now what I'm doing here is I'm making sure that there's 30 damage left on the Gallade when I knock it out, so I'm not wasting damage anywhere. I'm going to go ahead and Boomburst. I'm going to get the knockout, put 30 damage everywhere else, which means there is actually 100 damage on the field, which is exactly what I need to knock out the Landorus. So that is good. My opponent here is going to try to attack me, and finally I flip heads, saving my life. But next turn I could have just gone ahead and Sinistered Hand. There would have been 20 more damage left, or there would have been 20 more damage on the field. Thanks to the Rocky Helmet, I played 2 of those. And that is the game. So pretty fun little game. I hope you guys enjoyed. You'll see in the stats here that I didn't actually do that much damage. The most damage that I did was 140, and that was with my my Sigalith. Besides that, I only did 30 each turn. So fun little game there. I have more gameplays left to showcase for everyone. I have some more Magmortar Electivire I've been meaning to put out. I have some more Tornadus Electrode. I have some more Virizion Genesect and all kinds of other fun stuff in store for everyone. So I do hope you guys enjoyed this game. Let me know what you think about the deck. I really like it. I have one more game. I played 2 games. I won both, which is fantastic. Again, I thought that was the more exciting of the 2, so I showcased that game first. The other one was pretty awesome too, so I might put that on my channel at some point. But yeah, leave a like if you can. That'd be greatly appreciated, and I'll see everyone next time. Peace.
You did it, Psyduck! Psyduck!